You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. The whole world applauds Ukrainian military intelligence officers after the operation in Afghanistan. This was stated by President Volodymyr Zelensky, congratulating them on their professional holiday. The head of state also noted the role of military intelligence in protection of our country.
Military intelligence plays a key role in protecting Ukraine's interests and security. Thanks to them, we are able to prevent threats and overcome challenges. And after the operation to rescue people from Afghanistan, the whole world applauds the Ukrainian military intelligence.
The USA will help release Ukrainians who were illegally detained in the temporarily occupied territories of Donbas and Crimea, as well as in Russian Federation. This was stated by the U.S. Chargé d'Affaires in Ukraine, Christina Quinn, in an interview with Radio Liberty following the meeting of Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington, D.C. During the visit, the Ukrainian delegation handed over a list of 450 illegally detained people to the American side. We condemn the detention of the Crimean Tatars. For us, such actions by Russia are nothing new. We're monitoring how Russia arrests people for political reasons in Crimea and beyond. We condemn this on a regular basis. I believe that it is important for us to cooperate with the international community so that Russia and other regimes be responsible for politically motivated arrests. We work in the UN, OSCE and other international organizations for this purpose. I believe that it is also necessary to draw attention of international observers to such inappropriate and illegal detentions. 125 Ukrainians are being illegally held in detention in the occupied Crimea. This was announced by the Ukrainian ombudswoman Denisova in a media commentary. She calls on the international community to respond to the illegal detentions in the occupied Crimea, as well as to trials of Ukrainian citizens by the illegal armed groups in Donbas. To date, 125 our citizens are either arrested or detained or are serving sentences. And recently it happened again. 3 people have been sent to pre-trial detention facilities for 2 months, and 4 people are going to serve a 10 to 15 days administrative arrest. Of course, I have sent an appeal to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, and to Tatiana Moskalkova, the Human Rights Ombudsman of the Russian Federation, for the observance of the rights of the illegally imprisoned citizens in the Crimean Peninsula. Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine took the investigation of illegal arrests in Crimea under personal control. The Occupation Court of Simferopol sent first deputy head of the Majlis Nariman Zhulyalov, as well as 4 more Crimean Tatars, to a pre-trial detention center. A measure of restraint chosen is 2 months of detention. All detainees face up to 15 years in prison. How is Kyiv going to protect the rights and freedoms of citizens? Permanent representative of the President of Ukraine in the Autonomous Republic of Crimea told this in an interview with our TV channel.
As soon as it all started Saturday morning, we are constantly in touch, including with the Crimeans who are staying there. We are in touch with the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people. We have already seen the reaction of the President of Ukraine, and it was important for us to do it. Therefore, in this situation, we are doing what we can do in order to ensure that the reaction to this show trial and in general to the illegal detention of both Nariman Zhulyal and other citizens is strong, both inside Ukraine and in the international arena.
An attack on civilians. Drones of the illegal armed groups dropped 2 self-made mines on a residential area in the town of Zaitsevo of Donetsk region. According to the comment of the Joint Forces operation, the explosive devices were made on a 3D printer. Each one contains special cassettes with steel bullets. The illegal armed groups are using drones increasingly, 5 times for the last week, Ukrainian military report. More than 800 people have been reported missing since the beginning of hostilities in Donbas. Both civil and military are among them. Who is looking for them and what can make this process more effective? Our correspondents found out.
Jadwiga Lozinska has been looking for her son for 7 years. At the end of August 2014, he participated in the Battle of Ilovaisk. The results of a DNA examination confirmed the death of Andriy, but the woman is sure her son is alive.
He called on September 5, 2014. There are testimonies of witnesses who were with him in captivity in November of 2014. I was in the territory. I negotiated about the exchange.
17-year-old son of Liliana Kolosova disappeared at the Kamenka checkpoint on the way to Dnipro city. Neither Yevhen nor his fellows are found.
Мы с ним по 10 раз в день созванивались.
We used to call him 10 times a day. There were no calls, the phone was disconnected. And then we started calling his friends. They said, Mrs. Lana, we don't know. They were driving towards Dnipro. There were 4 of them in the car. None of them returned. They were taken by people in military uniform on the checkpoint Kamenka-Andropivka. There was information that he was to be sent to Donetsk and then to Luhansk, Mariupol and Dnipro to some kind of prison.
There are at least 700 similar stories that appeared since the beginning of hostilities in Donbas. These are data from public organizations. More than 800 persons are considered missing by the International Committee of the Red Cross.
In total, the URCS and the ICRC opened 1,800 cases since the beginning of the conflict. Today, we have only 811 that are opened, which means that the other cases have been closed. And as explained, in some cases, they were closed because the relatives were found alive. And unfortunately, in some cases, the remains of the persons were found. But there is, we can say that there has been some progress, but this progress is much too slow for many families.
To make searches more effective, a special commission was created in Ukraine 2 years ago, but it never really worked.
The Commission on the Issues of Missing Persons is working imperfectly, and therefore we, the state and the society, need to do everything possible to help those families here and now. This means also financial support, because many families, civilians, volunteers do not have any help from the state, neither in the social nor in the household segment. This is also psychological support when the mother does not know whom to address.
Relatives of the missing are sure, without the unified state register, it is almost impossible to find anyone. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Svetlana Sich, UATV News.
Members of the Ukrainian parliament opened the 6th working session. According to Chairman Trozumkov, it will be busy. Parliament should consider a package of bills on decentralization and de-oligarchization, on anti-corruption strategy, as well as bill that concerns the activities of the Office of the Crimean Platform. The Speaker noted that the main task of the 6th session is to study the draft state budget for the next year. The MPs expect to receive it until September 15th.
If you ask me whether a lot has been done during the past 2 years, I would answer yes, because the reforms were approved. We really managed to do a lot. But if the question is, have we done enough? Unfortunately, the answer will be no. We should focus on laws that would improve the social condition of our citizens, provide effective employment relations. And most importantly, today we have to think about the heating season, and the tariff issue, as always in the fall, is one of the key ones.
Ukraine may return to the red zone of epidemic danger in November. This possibility was predicted by the Ministry of Health. However, tightening of quarantine restrictions throughout the country is likely to start already next week. My colleagues will tell you more.
Lockdown in Ukraine cannot be avoided. This opinion was expressed by Chief State Secretary Doctor of Ukraine Igor Kuzin. In his opinion, the epidemic situation in Ukraine is worsening.
In the nearest future, Ukraine will leave the green zone. We will be forced to introduce a yellow one. There will be tougher restrictions, for instance, on attending public events or gyms. But if we talk about the red level of danger, it is not likely to be established until November.
Ukraine is just one step away from the yellow zone, Minister of Health Viktor Leshko said. Therefore, the issue of tightening quarantine was brought up to the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers, and most likely the new rules will be provided starting Monday, September the 13th. The rules of quarantine for yellow zone are suggesting the following restrictions. Mass events can be held if 4 square meters are provided per person. No more than 50% of seats can be occupied in cinemas or any other cultural institutions. 10 square meters shall be provided per person in gyms and fitness centers, and there are no restrictions on working hours of restaurants, cafes and bars. The minister also assured that the restrictions will not affect the work of public transport. By the way, during last lockdown, getting to work became the #1 problem for many Ukrainians.
The biggest problem was with the transport, when there were no minibuses and for all means of public transport permits were required. This was probably the most difficult thing. In general, the lockdown atmosphere is pressing.
Not everyone has a permit, but many people have to go somewhere. One, for instance, works at a job which doesn't issue permits. It means he has to go by taxi or by bicycle.
The situation with COVID is still under control, according to Kyiv School of Economics, but pressure on the medical system continues growing. The most cases were registered at Chernivtsi region, but the rest of the territories are also under threat.
We predicted this period, we expected the rise of cases, and now we care that this rise would not be painfully rapid and would not exceed our ability to provide medical care.
In Kharkiv and the region, 45 cases of the Delta variant have already been confirmed, and the only way to avoid spreading the disease is through vaccination. In Kharkiv alone, up to 13,000 people get jabs every day.
Last week, 50 samples of material were sent to the laboratory in Kiev, and on the eve of the weekend we received confirmation that out of 50, 45 were Delta variant. Most of the cases are mild, but based on the fact that we have an official confirmation, we will take care of every patient and contact persons so that we have full picture.
Given the adaptive quarantine, the entire country moves from the green to the yellow zone. Further, depending on the situation in a particular region, it can be changed to orange or even red level. Reported by Vadim Kramer, Olena Diduch and Natalia Bilokudra, UATV News.
Ukrainian tennis player Dayana Yastremska reached the semifinals of the mixed doubles of the US Open. In the quarterfinals, 21-year-old athlete from Odessa, in a duet with Max Purcell from Australia, in 52 minutes sorted out a couple of representatives of Kazakhstan and France. That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Thank you for staying with the UATV channel. Goodbye.